Denis and Kacper here with Submission Radio. A couple of very special guests right after UFC 205 press conference here at Madison Square Garden. That's right, guys. We're finally here at Madison Square Garden. Adam doesn't give a crap. Look at him. He's just like, I don't care. I've been here 100 times. We're from Australia. We care, and Jim cares as well because he's a caring guy. Guys, it's been a crazy couple of days here. Well, really, yesterday, open workouts. We went up to the Knicks floor. Kacper, quickly before we go to the guys, I mean, you and me, a couple of Australians, on the floor of the Knicks home court. Quick reaction, what did you think of that? How did you feel on there? And did you try and do any slam dunks?
I didn't do any slam dunks. Obviously left that to Conor McGregor. He got the three-pointer shot out there. Pretty memorable. I mean, I'm not the biggest NBA fan, if I'm honest. I know, Dennis, you watch a lot of NBA, but I know who the Knicks are. I think most people do. So being on that court, knowing that we're a couple of days away from seeing UFC 205 on that court, it's a pretty special experience. What about you? Because I know you're a big NBA guy.
Look, let's get this out of the way quickly, guys, because a lot of people are talking about this shot that Conor McGregor did into the hoop. It was a pretty average technique. I know, Adam, you're...
Average is generous. Average is generous. It was awful. I mean, I'm a basketball guy. I know you're a basketball guy. I didn't know. I like hanging out with you guys to learn about Australia. I didn't know that the NBA was so big. And you guys saw Dwight Howard last time you were here, and it was like this crazy thing. We were on the floor of the garden. We saw the Knicks court. It was really cool. And then Conor McGregor ruins it all by taking what I thought was one of the worst shots I've ever seen. It wasn't even a jump shot. It was a set shot from his hip. It was terrible. Now, it went in, but I think you give him 10.
That's not the point, is it, Adam?
No, you give him 10 more shots, he doesn't make one.
Adam, it went in, man.
No.
And it could be a sign of things to come this week.
It's not. It may be, but it's not acceptable. Listen, I'll take a guy with great form that misses over terrible form that makes it, because you know consistently down the road he's going to make more and more shots if he has the good form.
Imagine the pressure of being there in front of all these people, not only the media, not only us bums, but the fans, doing a workout and then going for a shot. Hey, I'm going to try and get it in, and then missing it. Imagine what would have happened then. Memes, ridicule, the end of the world.
Jim Edwards, quickly. Jim Edwards versus Conor McGregor on the home court of the Knicks. Who's winning that one?
Well, me, obviously. I'm a bit more nimble than Conor. Conor looks like he's packing a bit more weight for this 155 weight class. You know, what can I say? Conor McGregor was under a lot of pressure to make that shot yesterday. He still made it. I heard the story was that he was going to do a slam dunk, but got talked out of it by Denis. So, you know, it was great. It was great being there at the open workouts yesterday. This is a really historic arena, and you know, it just really brought it home to us being here for the first time. What it really does mean to be in Madison Square Garden.
The atmosphere was interesting yesterday. Obviously, it was the first time that we got to see us in the Knicks home court, which is the most important thing. The media got a chance to go in there, but it wasn't there wasn't much buzz. Obviously, the election is going on. A lot of stuff is happening in the country. Jim, you look like you really want to share something, so I want to ask you first, did you feel yesterday that maybe the world kind of forgot about UFC 205? There's more important things going on and not as much buzz going around as UFC maybe 196 or even 202 near the fight.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had the election Tuesday evening. Americans just walking away from the election night looking broken, walking down the streets. Obviously, this is, you know, this isn't a Trump state. So New York City was pretty, you know, it felt like everyone was pretty down. There was a really flat atmosphere. We turned up at the open workouts and it was still a bit, you know, it wasn't the biggest open workout crowd we've ever seen, was it? Today I felt at the press conference, it almost felt like we turned a corner. I thought, you know, it was a lot more raucous. Conor McGregor turned it up a few notches. Everyone was a lot more enjoying themselves, I felt. And I think as the week goes on, I think everyone's going to maybe just get more in the spirit of the UFC being here. And everything's just going to seem bigger and bigger and bigger up until that, obviously, the main event on Saturday night.
As the American, can I just apologize to you guys and the rest of the world for what happened on Tuesday?
That's not enough.
No.
Whatever you guys need, I'm willing to do. I'll take it.
Were you over at that rally yesterday? Because I saw there were a few famous people. T.I. was there, a few famous actors, but the person that really everybody was looking for was Adam Hill.
I heard that people were looking for me. I didn't want to ruin it. I didn't want to be the message. I wanted the message to speak for itself. So I stayed away. But certainly I was there in spirit. It was, listen, it's embarrassing what happened. So we'll see what happens for 4 years. It'll be fun, and I think you're right. I think that it took a lot of the energy out of this week for Tuesday and Wednesday. Everybody's kind of in a haze yesterday and kind of getting ready for what's going to happen, and then today I think it's back to normal. As you guys said, it's this theater was electric. Conor McGregor, of course, put on a Conor McGregor type performance at the press conference, and I think it really geared things up for what's going to happen Saturday, which we've been waiting for how long? A decade in the sport. So it's going to be a huge weekend. And
as UFC 202 showed, there wasn't that much buzz about that card, and then once the press conference happened, once the bottle throwing incident, everything completely changed. Everybody got excited. I'm curious what you guys think, because everybody looks forward to these moments to see what happens between not only Conor McGregor but his opponents, the mental games, how people handle it. Let's talk about Eddie Alvarez first. How do you think he's handling this? Because today it looked like he came out guns blazing and really sort of held his own.
I think he believes he's handling it well. I mean, I don't think there's a way to really handle it right, because you're never in this situation where you're fighting a guy. You have animosity, you have build-up. There's no build-up like fighting Conor McGregor. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what he's going to do. And everybody has tried something different. And I think what Eddie Alvarez has done is just come right at him. Hey, I'm going to be a part of this. I'm going to welcome the booze. I'm going to bring it all on myself. Like, come on, bring it at me. That's all you got. And then he leaves on his own and says, call me when he gets here. He tries to throw the chair in his direction. I don't think there's a right way to do it. I'm going to say his is not the right way, but I don't know what the right way is. So maybe it is. This is what he's trying to do. And I think in his mind, he's doing it right.
Whatever this guy does, it's going to be the wrong way. If he gets beaten, everyone's going to look back and point. He's going to say he got too emotional during the press conference and he was playing into Conor's hands too much. I think that if you're Eddie Alvarez, you just got to do what you want to do at that point. And Eddie Alvarez's response seems to be that he's going to fire back at Conor. And let's face it, he had some great lines in that press conference. He was the one that initiated all the chair stuff. It's entertainment at the end of the day. Everyone was saying that Eddie Alvarez might not be the most entertaining, opponent for Conor McGregor this week. I think he's proven everyone wrong. I think it's been entertainment all the way so far.
Yeah, I really like what Eddie's done, Kacper, because he's a guy that, like you guys said, blah, 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 maybe isn't the most vocal guy, but he's sort of holding his own. Yeah. I'm curious what you think, Cass, in terms of the emotion that we saw from Eddie today. I mean, Adam said he's a guy who thinks he's taking it well, but maybe he's not taking it that well. Jim says there's a few good lines in there. Did you see some real emotion that you think is going to affect him in this fight, or do you think this is just him pretty much just doing Eddie Alvarez out there, strong-willed, and it's not going to have any effect on him?
I feel like maybe in the UFC 205 presser originally a couple of weeks ago or a month ago or so, he was a little bit more nervous. Some of it seemed a little bit more forced. But now he's sort of assumed the role. He's a little bit more confident. And I think he's just having fun. I think for him to say some of the things that he's saying, I mean, he essentially subtly, not so subtly, accused Conor McGregor's girlfriend of infidelity. That was crazy. That brought things to a whole nother level. I'm surprised.
Conor of infidelity. He said that he's having 2 kids, she's only having 1. Right?
I thought he said she's having twins and one of them's not his.
No, I believe
I think he said what Adam.
He's having 2 children.
He's having 2 children, and his girlfriend's only having 1.
Okay, well there you go. All right, I misheard it wrong, but nevertheless, to say something like that sort of takes things. That's outside of the fight. That's outside of fighting.
Well, Eddie was saying, I want you to apologise for saying what Conor did about his wife and his kids, and obviously Conor was never going to do that. So Conor, Eddie
just would have said like, back. "Sorry, man, I shouldn't have said that. You're right." That would have been the craziest moment ever.
Dana White's like, the fight is off.
Well, there we go.
Jim, go home.
One thing I will say about the atmosphere, though, is if you remember back to UFC 202, we were all saying, "Where are the Irish? Where are the Irish? Where's all this crazy atmosphere?" And it wasn't until that crazy weigh-ins, where we all nearly got stampeded by rioting Irish, that it really picked up. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. What are we going to get there? Is it going to be just as crazy? I think it might be.
Just quickly, on a side note, do you guys feel like this arena and where we are now is a better fit for the press conference? Because in Vegas, UFC 202, the crowd was a lot far back. They were there wasn't as many, but they were so far back you couldn't really hear them. The fighters couldn't really hear them. There was a few chants here and there. But here, the Irish were so close, the fighters could barely hear what was going on. The media could barely hear what was going on. Do you think that sort of worked out a lot better?
Was that the David Copperfield arena?
That was the theater.
The theater. That was the weirdest, worst place to have a press conference, guys. You have no idea what was going on back there. It was like a weird jazz club with round things.
I felt like we were in an intervention, not a press conference.
If it was 40 years ago and we were in the mafia and we were making a backroom deal, I think it would have been a great place to do a press conference. But considering that it was supposed to be a huge press conference, I mean, I thought that was just ridiculous. Jim, you look outraged.
Well, I'm always a fan. If we're going to come to Madison Square Garden a lot more than we're going to go to Vegas, that's a much shorter trip for me. I'm loving this week already. I'm done with Vegas. I'm like Connor. Screw Vegas. We want this. We want way more cards in New York, and it looks like we're going to be getting them next year. And like you say, today wasn't an incredible venue for the press conference.
I mean, just to look back, though, it was probably better that it was like that setup where the fans were farther back, because you remember that's when the bottles started being thrown, and if the fans were right on top of things like it was today, it would have been complete chaos.
Adam, you almost died that day, didn't you?
Yeah, it was close. I survived. I mean, it breezed right by. It was good.
Yeah,
got a nice little breeze from it. It was okay.
You were like the Anderson Silva of the press conference.
Yeah, I mean, they showed the video of the bottle almost hitting me at the commission hearing when I was there covering it. I was like, oh, that, you know, I'm part of this commission hearing now, I guess. And you know, the lady pointed out media could have been seriously hurt. And I was like, well, that's me. I think I was going to be okay. But yeah, I was right there. But the fans were farther back, and like the bottles were being arched over everything. But here, the fans were right on top of things. If something would have gone down like that, it could have got a lot worse in this setting than it would have in Las Vegas.
Let's quickly move it along, because there's a couple of things I want to ask you guys. The first one is, a lot of people talking about whether this thing was rehearsed or not, the chair thing. We saw that there were like no security guards that came out. Also, it kind of looked like McGregor was pretty close to doing it, then he sort of stopped. Was this rehearsed? Are we looking at something that was sort of pre-made to get the excitement up? Because after it happened, we saw the security came in. All right, we've done it. We've got the hype. Let's end it here.
There's a few things to talk about here. So the fact is there was no security on there. The security didn't rush on particularly quickly when it all kicked off. I mean, the question was asked, wasn't it? Someone actually said to Dana, "Is this staged?" I'm not too sure he heard the question, but I don't think he wanted to either. It was one of those where he just laughed and did his usual Dana laugh.
Conor McGregor's face was not happy when that question was asked.
No, it wasn't. And I mean, was it staged? I don't know. It kind of looked like Conor was probably never going to throw the chair, but it was kind of like he had always probably had the intention to look like he was going to throw it. If that makes any sense, he wanted that, have that kind of moment, create the hype. You know, I don't think there was any chance of that chair actually flying up someone's head.
I generally don't think these things are staged per se. Yeah. I think that there's, hey, I'm going to come out and I'm going to be crazy and whatever happens, happens. I don't think Conor was ever going to throw the chair, though. I mean, they made a big scene of like holding the chair back and stopping him. I think he held it up and he held it there for a second and he's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do this, because we had the fine in Vegas, which was, you know, obscene, $150,000. He made a joke about what would the fine be if I throw a chair when a water bottle is $150. But I think it did dawn on him too, like you could knock Eddie out with a chair and the fight's off all of a sudden. Now you've ruined the biggest event in his, like there's real repercussions that could happen. So I don't think it was like, hey, I'm gonna come out and hold a chair, then this guy's gonna hold it back and then you do this. I don't think it was like that, but I think it was like, hey, there's gonna be some drama. I'm not actually gonna throw this chair though. So I think that's kind of the level with it.
Were you afraid for your life, Adam, when the chair was about to be thrown? Did you think, here we go again?
I had like Vietnam flashbacks. Like,
wasn't it weird though? Eddie actually picked up his chair and kind of just didn't throw it. He just kind of put it down behind Conor to.
It's almost like you realise, what did my life become? Yeah. How did I end up here? He saw a reflection of himself in the chair and thought, what happened?
Did you not think that though, when this was all going off? Like we're trying to be, I guess, legitimate journalists or legitimate reporters, and you're tweeting out the fact that Conor McGregor's nearly throwing a chair at another man at a press conference. It kind of
pajamas with a mink coat, which I still don't understand.
Dressed as a pimp.
I guess it's comfortable. The pants looked awesome. I want to go get some. The mink coat is a little much, but hey, the Conor's being Conor. I love it.
I think you'd rock that, Adam. I think you could probably pull that pimp look off.
Sure, I might be doing that later on.
I feel like we're about a month early for that look. Christmas is around the corner. I feel like Conor McGregor could have waited a month. And just quickly, on the whole chair incident, Conor McGregor, let's not forget, he's a smart guy. He's a business guy. He would not put his career in danger for something like that and actually hurt Eddie Alvarez. And being a smart guy, he wants to milk this opportunity to get as many pay-per-view buys. He's going to get a cut of the pay-per-view, and what he's doing is whether you want to call it good or bad, it will, work out in his favor.
That could be a finisher for the WWE when he makes his appearance at WrestleMania. I mean, Conor McGregor runs out with a chair that he almost killed Eddie Alvarez with. What's going to happen? But that was a moment for all the wrestling fans that reminds me of WrestleMania 17 when Stone Cold Steve Austin turned on The Rock, hit him with the chair, and just stared at the chair. I feel like Eddie was sort of going through the same thing. Adam Hill might not be a pro wrestling fan,
he lost me
but
I remember the honky.
It's our show. We can talk about it all.
Guitar. That was kind of cool.
The most important thing before we wrap up, because you guys are important journalists like you mentioned, and me and Kacper are just going to go stand on the street and ask for change, but we're going to use the Timothy Johnson mustache scale for this one. Out of 5, Conor McGregor's outfit, I'm going to go first. I'm going to give it 4 Timothy Johnson mustaches out of 5. Why, you might think? Maybe I wouldn't wear it, but I think it did the right job. He looked great up there, and I feel like that fur really gave him a real authority on stage. Like that chick from the 100 Dalmatians.
The only thing he was missing was the sunglasses. Come on, if you're going to be a proper pimp, you need sunglasses indoors. And he wasn't wearing them. The coat, though, yeah, you can't top that. That's maybe one of his better outfits he's won so far. Was it better than El Chapo, though?
El Chapo was good, but I'm going to say comfortable pimp is the new thing. I mean, because a pimp is great, and the outfit is great,
it's uncomfortable,
but it always looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He looked like the most comfortable guy in the room today, and he looked like a pimp. It was great.
A little bit like Kramer from Seinfeld, where he got that one.
The Technicolor dream coat, that's what I was thinking. He needed the hat, but you're right, it is all about comfort. If you're going to go into a chair-throwing battle, the hat's only going to get into your way. I will give it a 3, not as high as your 4 or 4.5, only because, as Esther Lynn pointed out in these photos, to document this evidence, the price tag, was still on the coat. So look out for that. Yeah. Which probably explains why he was late. Coat shopping.
He's going to return it probably. Yeah.
Quickly, guys, your rating, because that's what I wanted to find out from you, Adam, and not when Pimp is coming into style. Out of 5 Timothy Johnson mustaches, what are you giving it?
I guess I'm going to go 4.5.
4.5. Yeah. He's using a decimal system here. What about you, Jim?
Oh, I said 4.5 as well, didn't I? So.
Okay, great. So we're all going to be dressed as Conor McGregor, possibly in the future, according to Adam. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. This is Jim Edwards. This is Adam Hill. Kacper and Denis with Submission Radio. Jump on the channel, subscribe. Exclusive videos out. Don't miss out, and we'll catch you guys again soon.